Hello, I'm Julian Upton, European and online editor for Pharmaceutical Executive, and I'd like to welcome you to this fireside chat with CENTOGENE's Professor Peter Bauer. CENTOGENE is one of the largest genetic biotech companies worldwide, the European market leader, and one of the global leaders in genetic diagnostic analyses of rare inherited diseases. Professor Bauer serves as CENTOGENE's Chief Genomic Officer. He received his board certification in human genetics in 2006 and previously headed the molecular diagnostic laboratory at the Institute of Medical Genetics and Applied Genomics at the University Hospital at Tübingen, Germany. Additionally, he is vice president of the German Society of Neurogenetics and has authored more than 140 publications in neurogenetics, oncogenetics, cardiogenetics, and sequencing technology. So, Professor Bauer, thank you for joining us today.
Hello, Julian. Good to meet you.
And just as we begin, I wonder if you could just briefly outline the work that CENTOGENE is engaged in for those who don't know it.
Oh, sure. CENTOGENE is the leading data-driven rare disease company, and so we are uniquely positioned to bring unseen rationality to orphan drug development. We have a multifaceted method to diagnose, understand, and treat rare diseases, and to deliver exceptional results and thereby drive value creation. We look into that, I think, with Diagnose. We embrace our ability to deliver top-notch genetic diagnostic services to patients, families, and partners, physicians around the world, where samples are sent to our home base in Rostock, but we reach out to more than 100 countries, more than 20,000 physicians worldwide, and have diagnosed in that more than 2,500 rare genetic diseases. Meanwhile, company was founded in 2006, and so I see us as an early mover in the field and still at the forefront of what is needed to offer diagnostic solutions to patients with rare diseases. On top, we invested a lot to understand these rare diseases, which is in-house research, but as well mimicked by the huge amount of scientific publications we could share with the public in collaborations with experts around the world, with a special interest, as you mentioned, in metabolic and neurological diseases. Finally, and this sets us apart from diagnostic service providers, we are a company where the understanding of disease, mechanism of disease is linked to the search of new treatment opportunities. And meanwhile, we collaborate with more than 40 biotech and pharmaceutical partners in more than 45 different rare diseases. They are biomarkers, but as well target identification is on our agenda, and we push aggressively, especially into our priority diseases, which is Gaucher disease, Niemann-Pick type C disease, and genetic forms of Parkinson's, while we still work as well on completion of our biodata bank to accelerate treatment discovery as well in other indications. So this diagnostic strategy is, of course, only possible on the back of huge investments in being a leader, not only in genetic technology, but as well in biomarker assessment based on mass spectrometry. And I think this and the combination using cutting-edge bioinformatics and artificial intelligence to understand the connections is what is the core of the company and the motor that is creating our value.
Okay, so the title of the session is Diagnose, Understand, Treat, and with insights gathered from CENTOGENE's bio data bank of 600,000 patients, how would you say the company is moving from that foundation in diagnostics to the understand and treat phase of its development?
Yeah, as said, so the rare disease diagnostics are the foundation of what we're doing, and only by having studied 10,000, 100,000 of patients, we could collect enough consolidated insights into the variability in these diseases and phenotypes and genotypes to start from there. But this is only the first step, because when the diagnosis is there, patients immediately ask for treatment options. And given that the orphan drugs are still not available for almost 90% of the rare genetic disorders, we see that we are positioned at a very specific and important gap that needs to be closed to act faster than in the past, where industrial efforts to develop new targets and drugs usually take 7 to 10 years. And without all the uncertainty of outcomes, of course, there is still a high risk for pharma to invest in orphan drugs. On the other side, we learn from the market trends that there is, while only 250 FDA treatments are approved, billions of dollars are spent in this area in research, and to guide these investments into doubling or multiplying the treatments available is key to answer the unmet needs in the patients and their families. Due to our in-house diagnostics and R&D, we are able to join forces to unlock these insights, and as a result, we help pharma partners to de-risk in their developments and be smarter, more rational, and data-proven in their decisions.
So can you outline how the tools in your multi-omic platform support the work you're doing and the next chapter, particularly of CENTOGENE's development?
Yeah, thanks for the question, because also I'm a human geneticist, and I really love the precision of genetic markers. We learned over the years that sequencing the DNA of individuals, of patients, of course, is not really telling us the story about the severity of a disease or a when and how symptoms will evolve. This means although we can have a precise diagnosis, we don't know too much about the prognosis of these patients. And how should you treat someone if you don't know the severity of the symptoms you will face and then balance it with the risk of treatment? So the same disease, the same mutation is appearing in very different clinical pictures all over the world. That's where we start our journey and our insights. Now, with adding multi-omic insights, especially metabolomics and transcriptomics, but as well proteomics and phenomics, we get a much deeper picture. And there we get the colors of differentiation that help us to predict a mild and a severe phenotype, and thus as well validate disease models, whether they can at all mimic the situation in humans and thereby support drug development. An example would be our centometabolome, where we work on measuring untargeted small molecules from dried spot filter cards and identify patterns in the metabolomic profiles of patients and controls. And by doing the comparisons, of course, we are able to identify single molecules that represent disease. This is our biomarker discovery pipeline. But going beyond, we can even identify patterns of disease entities and thereby group patients and diseases according to their pathophysiological links. This is great to get functional insights and as well to understand the mode of action of therapeutic molecules in these pathways. Taking it one step further, we add on artificial intelligence, machine learning, and tools to visualize results, and this all brought into rare genetic disease picture is able to orchestrate our workbench, which gives us control or at least leverage into the scientific multi-omic workflows.
Now, in June this year, CENTOGENE set the ambitious goal to enable the cure of 100 rare diseases in 10 years. That makes for an eye-catching headline, but how could you describe, what are the targets that you actually must reach to make realistic advances on that journey?
Yeah, so fully admitted that this is not a walk in the park, and this is really a big ambition set into this statement, but we have a plan in place that is going to enable us exponentially to come back with compound and progress on this goal. For example, we have worked with collaboration partners in finding patient-derived cell lines with specific diseases. As of today, we have established 3 full disease models with not only these cellomics, but as well biomaterial around from patients to have genomics and metabolomics in hand. By end of 2023, we aim to double this to 6, and 1 year later to triple it into at least 10 of these full disease models. And these disease models, of course, multiply into a couple of related diseases, which are genetically and from their functional consequences. If we look at the functional consequences close by, so that target discovery will always have the potential to go beyond one genetic disease only. Furthermore, with the biodata bank and 600,000 patients and individuals in right now, we strive for reaching 1 million patients in the next three years, and work with partners to leverage, of course, this ambitious goal. And on the drug development side, we have already major collaboration in place and are in discussion to leverage as well the progress in these key areas to be successful for defining treatment. We can take advantage of the rare disease drug sales in a global market that will go beyond 300 billion per year by 2026, and as well see that the regulatory guidance is more liberal and accelerating the position of companies like ours to contribute seriously in drug approvals.
So thank you for that. You've outlined, I think, the first priorities as well there for the next 2-3 years, or 3 to 5 years for CENTOGENE. So if I can just end by looking forward, perhaps to that 10-year point. What both for you and CENTOGENE, what do you want to envision for the rare and orphan disease landscape at that, in 2031?
Well, I think there's many layers within this question, and if we approach it from a scientific side as well as from a human side, I would say as a scientist, of course, I want to participate in the fruition of precision medicine, which is going beyond genetics and genomics, and really help internally and externally to start thinking in terms of multi-omics, which is one very decent way to complete a clinical picture of a patient and to come back with insights into disease that is not only helping to develop treatment, but as well so instrumental to getting closer to the needs of the patients, because we get a congruency between our models and their daily observations. In terms of technologies, I think it's more and more digitalization, so machine learning, cloud technology, and artificial intelligence will be the main value driver in industry anyhow, and in particular in those complex biological systems where one sole researcher or even a research team is no longer able to keep up with the mass of information that is available to come to decisions. From the human side, and that's kind of a note from a physician that really still is touched by meeting the patients, we have to remember that this can't be done without a network of colleagues going after this mission to provide treatment to patients, but as well our heart and ears to listen to the patients, their needs, understand what is most important now to achieve, and then to combine this in collaborations with our partners out there to get all the resources aligned behind the innovation we have to bring to the next decade, to make it a decade of kind of the orphan drugs, and thereby bring never thought of solutions to an industry, and in the end to a community that is extremely large. So rare disease, as you know, is in the end more dangerous and has a higher morbidity than even cancer, if you account for all the toll we have to pay for these inherited diseases.
Well, thanks a lot for that, Peter. Thanks for your valuable insights and for outlining that work that CENTOGENE is doing. I think that's all we've got time for today. So I'd like to thank everyone else for joining us too, and I hope to see you again soon. Goodbye.
Thanks, Julian. Bye-bye.